With them.
Visit with them, and also, we live in a border town, so not being able to go to Tiger games and, Mexican town and all the restaurants that we love over there, Greek town, and so it would be nice for us to be able to do that.
Now, Jen, it's being extended until September 21st, but we've heard about this extension before. It keeps getting extended. Why is it staying closed this time?
At this point, it's still really up in the air. We don't know when it's going to reopen, but the U.S. Department of Homeland Security says their reason for the closed border is that Delta variant and also increasing case counts in both the U.S., but also Canada and Mexico as well. Now, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the last time an extension was announced was on July 20th. And at that point, the 7-day average for new daily cases in the U.S. was in the range of 68,000. Today, it's in the range of 130,000 daily new cases. But one expert that I spoke with from the university at the Cross Border Institute there, she told me that it's a good sign that Canada has opened up to allow vaccinated Americans in. She predicts that late fall is when we're going to see those restrictions loosen up on the state side. But again, she says that's all dependent on case counts. Chris.
Thanks, Jen. CBC's Jennifer Grasso live tonight. The person Windsor, Essex has turned to for the latest information on COVID-19 is taking a new job. Dr. Wajid Ahmed has accepted a new role as the Associate Chief Medical Officer of Health for the province. He says it was a very tough decision to make.
Really a bittersweet experience, as much as it's a good career move, but I also am indebted with the love and support that I receive from the community. Windsor, Essex is one of my home, and I feel the pain, I feel the passion, and as much as I am happy, I'm also sad to leave a community that is very, very supportive and have gone through some of the difficult time in the pandemic. But my heart and my mind will always be with my community.
Now, his resignation comes into effect on October 1st. The health unit hopes to find a full-time replacement for him by the end of the year. The former top doc for Haldimand Norfolk will step in as a temporary replacement in the meantime. Now, with his departure still a ways off, some in Windsor, they're wishing Ahmed the best.
Well, I'm really going to be sorry to see him leave our area. I think he's done an awesome job, especially during this pandemic. Yes.
It's a great opportunity for him. I think he's done a great job in our city, and I wish him the best of luck. And hopefully we'll have a good replacement. Yeah.
Hopefully whoever takes over has been keeping abreast of everything that's going on and takes over where, he's leaving off. But it's a good opportunity for him. Congratulations to him. Smart man, got us through a lot of this stuff, so hopefully they replace him with somebody, equally as smart.
But he's still guiding us through this fourth wave. 69 new cases today. Troubling trends highlighted this morning. Key statistics that track the spread of COVID-19, they've doubled in recent weeks.
We are at a stage where things will get worse.
We are right back to a place we've been before. No other health unit in Ontario is reporting COVID-19 infections at the rate of Windsor, Essex. We have the highest test positivity rate in the province, and our 7-day average for new cases now sits just below the peak point of wave 3. But that was back when things were locked down. Ahmed says people tracing contacts are having trouble counting connections.
These people are everywhere. These people are going into many different settings and potentially exposing many people during their infectious period.
Cases are mainly among those unvaccinated, as vaccination rates plateau across most age groups. More than a third of cases in the last 2 weeks are people 20 to 29. And as the rise in cases continue, Ahmed says it's clear when trends started to change. After Ontario hit step 3. Will we see more restrictions?
It's an ongoing discussion. There's a much broader discussion that's happening at other tables as well, that what do we need to do as a province? What do we need to do as a region?
Do you see recommending to the province to push us back into a step 2?
Look, I hope it won't be necessary. Can we completely rule that out? No, we cannot. It will depend on our behavior, whether we get vaccinated more and more. Do we really think if we need to imply restrictions again, that we need to do that for everybody? Or do we actually impose restrictions for those at higher risk? And this means those who are not fully vaccinated. That's where vaccine certificates come in.
Both stress it will be vaccinations that end the fourth wave. Uni adding that the Delta variant will spread COVID-19 faster. than any other wave.
If we continue to open, this means that nearly all of us who remain unvaccinated will get infected during the next 6 to 12 months, at least 90% of the population.
That's a large number, and I think tough words to hear if you're a parent about to send a kid back to school who can't get vaccinated.
The best way to protect our children below the age of 12 is to get vaccinated ourselves, everybody. Siblings, parents, school staff, etc. In addition, we will have good measures in place in schools. We continue to mask, we continue to physically distance in older age groups, we continue to cohort in younger age groups, and the ventilation should be much better now than a year ago. So that's all aspects that play in our favor.
Now, this will likely be the last term for MPP Rick Nichols. Yesterday, the representative for Chatham-Kent-Leamington was ousted from the PC caucus for his refusal to take a vaccine. Well, he will stay on for the rest of this term. He says he will not be running in the next election, but added things could change. Today, he spoke with our Jacob Barker about that decision.
This is all about choice, freedom of choice, to decide whether or not you want to have something, a needle put in your arm or not. It's not about being an anti-vaxxer.
Have you taken other vaccines?
Oh, of course I have. Of course I have. You know, as a kid, I got booster shots for whatever it was back when I was a kid. You know, I've had TB shots, you know, and so on. And I also recognize the fact, too, that if people are traveling to other parts of the world where they say, listen, you need to have this shot in order to come into the country because we don't want you getting sick, guess what? Then if I was going there, I would take that shot. Because those are proven. I don't take the flu vaccine. I don't get a flu shot. I've never got a flu shot. Well, so far, so good.
But I mean, that's also meant to protect other people.
Well,
as is this vaccine.
Fair enough. Fair, you know, and so look, if I'm asked to, if I want to get something at the store, you know, the store is saying the province is mandated, even the municipality of Chatham-Kent mandated the fact that, you know, you go into a store, you have to wear a mask. I'll oblige. I'll wear a mask. Want to go to a restaurant? I'll wear a mask. You want me to social distance from people? I'll social distance from people. It's all designed to keep people from spreading.
Well, now the Premier is saying if you want to campaign with people, or that you need to have a vaccine to protect them. So it's an added sort of layer there.
Yeah, no, you're right. And but being an independent and being told that I will not be allowed to campaign under the PC banner in the next provincial election, I guess that kind of limits my choices. But to be honest with you, I've made a commitment to my wife that I will not be running in the next election. It'd be tough to win as an independent, but it might surprise people too. But in the meantime, I will continue to serve as I have in past. You know, my residents, constituents here in Chatham-Kent-Leamington. I will not take my foot off the accelerator. I'll pedal to the metal until the writ drops, and then I'm told, okay, I guess then I'm done.
Now, the provincial election is less than a year away. CBC News spoke with a political scientist about the actions that the Ford government is taking now and if it could become an issue in the future.
We started this pandemic and the vaccine rollout being told that we had a choice about whether or not to have vaccines. And now we're seeing increasingly, just over the last couple of weeks, a number of different mandates going on ahead with getting vaccination. I think that the Ford government is in a tough bind because they are going to be putting forward mandates for healthcare workers. And so it looks bad on them if they don't have their own caucus doing what they're asking other workers in other sectors.
Amherstburg Town Hall has been dealing with turmoil this month. 3 employees escorted out by police early last week. Those removed were the former CAO, the Director of Planning and Development, and the Director of Corporate Services. Aldo DiCarlo, the mayor, says they are no longer working for the town.
You know, this is a difficult position for myself and council. We do understand that the residents would like more information. However, council does have a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers, and we have to mitigate any potential litigation. So, I mean, in simple terms, talking about it, giving more details could cost the town money, and we have to be cognizant of that.
He says they don't want to burn out the staff that's left. He plans to speak with all employees about the situation. Now, the frantic race to get out of Afghanistan continues. Thousands of people who helped foreign forces, including Canada, are desperate to leave now that the Taliban has taken control. But evacuations are being stymied by cumbersome processes inside and outside the country. CBC's Karina Roman has the latest.
Thousands at the Kabul airport trying to get out of the country. Many more just trying to get to the airport itself. And mounting questions about what Canada is doing to get people out.
We set in motion the message that Canada was to accept and bring in as many Afghans as possible fleeing this violence, with a priority towards people with connections to Canada. And that's exactly what we're working on.
Priority people include Afghan interpreters and staff who worked for Canada during the war. Some interpreters are already in Canada, and it's their families waiting to get out. But they need the right paperwork to get through Taliban checkpoints. And they face chaos and violence getting to the airport. Other countries are actively retrieving people from safe houses. Justin Trudeau wouldn't say if Canada would consider doing the same.
I'm also not going to comment on operational matters for reasons of security, but I will say that our forces and our partners are doing absolutely everything necessary to get as many people out as quickly as possible.
A Canadian plane made it out of Kabul last night with 188 people on board. But compared to our allies, Canada appears to be behind in the scramble to evacuate. Trudeau's opponents say there is no excuse.
We've been asking for 5 years to bring back interpreters, contractors that are at risk because they helped Canada. So let's get them out of that risk as soon as possible and sort out the paperwork later.
Canadian officials said today they are reducing the process requirements to get on planes. Still, every day there are harrowing images showing the extent of the desperation, and reports say even those with the right paperwork can't get through to the airport. Critics say it didn't have to be that way.
And because we were slow, now we see hundreds, if not thousands, of people that may be left behind because of our inaction.
Rusk says the Prime Minister should be focused on this crisis, not campaigning. Trudeau argues the election is not distracting him, saying he gets regular briefings from officials and that he will speak with his G7 counterparts next week. Karina Roman, CBC News, Ottawa.
Tonight kicks off Whiff Under the Stars. The film festival will be showing movies until September 11th in a little over an hour. Cars are going to fill Festival Plaza to watch a double feature: Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Last Crusade. Now, will everyone who's out to watch enjoy that night, be able to put the top down? Will it be rain-free? Nick Sirkovich tells us after the break. Sony has been feeling the heat ever since it's named its permanent host for Jeopardy! Mike Richards is also the show's executive producer. He now says he's giving up the on-screen gig. Richards' past sexist remarks and other derogatory comments, they recently resurfaced.
I mean, if you're trying to screw up the legacy of a long-running show, this is the textbook now on how to do it. Did Aaron Rodgers know, or did Ken Jennings know that they were competing for this job, or LeVar Burton, or everyone else, against the executive producer of the show? And I don't think they did.
The resignation follows reports of numerous offensive comments Richards once made on a podcast. He took over as host just last week as the successor to the late Alex Trebek. It ended a broad search for a replacement that included actors, sports figures, journalists, and other celebrities. Richards says he's leaving because going forward would be too much of a distraction for the fans of the show. We bring in Nick Sirkovich now. I don't know if this is trading on insider information, Nick, or what you know that we don't. What were you shopping for earlier today?
You're going to ask me, right?
I got
Ironically, winter tires. But in my defense, it was in an air-conditioned dealership. Right?
That's true. That's how they
and
get
I was
you.
already there. Yes. And I was told that there is apparently a bit of a shortage in rubber tires. Yeah, so there you go.
That's a smart consumer story.
Yeah, there
That's
you
what
go.
that is.
Exactly. Stocking up. How many wheels does this thing have on it? There you go. What to do in the summer when it's almost 30 degrees. Shop for winter tires. 28 degrees right now in Windsor. With the Humidex, though, it feels like it's in the 30s. We don't have heat warnings in effect in southwestern Ontario, but that's just because it doesn't quite make the criteria. Nonetheless, it is hot, it is humid, and that's going to stick around. There's a look at currents. Not much to speak of in terms of precipitation at all. There's a look at the satellite and radar imagery. You put the forecast board into motion. Basically, what's happening here is we've got high pressure in place. We will see some isolated showers that will pop up in southwestern Ontario. Whether you see it in your neighborhood is pretty much impossible to determine because they are very isolated and sort of spotty in nature, but you'll see them pop up tomorrow, depending on where you are. And then they sort of dissipate into the evening, and then same story as we move through Sunday as well. So I've got about a 30% chance of seeing an isolated shower, and really it is isolated, but I got to put it in there for you just in case you happen to be in that location. 19 degrees tonight, still looking at some fog patches developing, pretty similar to what you saw earlier this morning. They'll dissipate by the afternoon. Highs to 30 degrees. Humidex values approaching the 40 mark. Slight chance of seeing an isolated shower. And basically, this is the story for the next few. 30, 31, 31, 31, 30. Humidex values 35 to 40 across the board. We may see Environment Canada issue warnings later on, but at this point, you know, warning or not,
yeah,
it's hot.
It's hot. It's hot.
There
Just a reminder, Nick, as well there, if you see snow, you go slow. When you get those tires, you just want to remember, keep that in your back pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thanks.
Remind me of that in a few months, okay?
We'll set up an auto send for the email there.
Yeah, that's
Have a
right.
good weekend, buddy.
Yeah, you too.
Now up next, we're going to take you to New Brunswick, where a man's raising money for shelter boxes to help those in Haiti. In Kabul today, the Taliban watched over the first Friday prayers to be held since they took over the Afghan capital. The Taliban called for unity, urging imams to persuade people not to leave Afghanistan. Now, according to NATO, more than 18,000 people have been flown out of Kabul since the takeover 5 days ago. But scenes of chaos, disruption at the airport, they've sparked widespread criticism of the U.S. for its troubled retreat from Afghanistan. U.S. President Joe Biden today dismissing the criticism that his country's departure from Afghanistan has contributed to that chaos. Biden says that the U.S. is determined to evacuate Americans who are still in Afghanistan, but he emphasized that it will be difficult and it will be risky.
But let me be clear. Any American who wants to come home, we will get you home. But make no mistake, this evacuation mission is dangerous. It involves risks to our armed forces, and it's being conducted under difficult circumstances. I cannot promise what the final outcome will be, or what it will be, that it will be without risk of loss. But as Commander-in-Chief, I can assure you that I will mobilize every resource necessary.
Now, Biden promised to evacuate as many Afghan allies as possible, but he didn't identify who would fall in that category. Relief efforts in Haiti are beginning to pick up. The island hit by a strong earthquake last week, and while some much-needed foreign aid is now getting in, residents are concerned about how they will get it. Now, some of that foreign aid being provided by Canadians, including Eugene Lewis, a retired engineering professor in New Brunswick. He's raising money to send shelter boxes of essential items to Haiti.
Everything that Shelter Box provides actually can be packed into this one large box. For example, there'd be a set of tools, a saw and a hammer, pliers. There's a stove and utensils, dishes, all metal. They've got mosquito nets, they have ground sheets, they have water purification tablets, and of course the very large tent that will accommodate the 10 people. The box weighs 145 pounds, and the total cost is $1,200. Shelter Box is an organization based in England, and their mandate is to be on the ground early after any disaster to provide everything that people need who've been wiped out. They go to war-torn countries. When people are displaced, they call them conflict refugees. But they also go to places where there have been mudslides, hurricanes, and of course earthquakes, as we now have here in Haiti. In any disaster, there's kind of a 5-step process that you have to go through. The first one, of course, is recovery. That is, if there are people trapped under buildings, you get them out. The second step is to get them medical help. Well, once those needs are satisfied, the next thing that people need most urgently is clean water. And then after that, they need food. And then, of course, after that, if they've lost their home, they need shelter. So that's the sequence of events that you see in any disaster situation. The shelter box is really very important to the recipients. I really don't know why I do it. I think it's payback. As a youngster, I lived in an impoverished situation, and I did well because people helped me get through school and so forth. And I think, well, now I'm in a position to pay back, so that's what I'm doing.
That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and the Rick Mercer Report is up next. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.